How are you, Dusty?
Oh, where to next?
Clearly you're not. You're obviously human, but how are you here? We didn't know any others left Earth.
Imagine what's going through these poor people's minds right now. There's no reason to tease.
Perhaps we should greet our guests.
Of course. Manners. I'm Captain Diana Brackenridge. This is Security Officer Bomani Reader. And this is Dr. Mabuti da Costa, one of our elders.
A pleasure to meet you.
I see. As you may have presumed, we're in a bit of a bind. Our ship has finally completed its near 200-year journey from Earth, only to find our new home seemingly colonized by... well, we don't know. Communications haven't been successful, so your arrival is fortuitous. Perhaps you'd be willing to act as a middle person between ourselves and... the others. We do. Well, sort of. We saw structures using our surveying equipment. We've also seen the various ships pass us by. Some even seemed to want to communicate, but couldn't. Of course, we had no idea that they were being piloted by other humans. If you don't need me anymore, I have a ship to run. Ah, your question confirms one of our recent theories. It would seem that some form of faster-than-light travel or space-bending technology was invented during our long journey. That would explain why we would find people this far out into space. I guess technology leapfrogged us at some point. Interesting. I can only imagine that our predecessors didn't believe the technology would ever work, and so they made the decision to leave when they did. Well, the short answer is, we didn't. It's a generation ship, which is to say that most of us lived long, happy lives on board and passed our mission down to our children. It was never intended that the original crew would make it to our destination. The goal was always the preservation of the human race above all else. Though, it would seem that was perhaps a bit presumptuous. We're not entirely sure. Our engineers believe it's possible that our technology just isn't compatible with theirs. All we hear when using them to communicate with anyone is a bunch of disturbing noise. It gave me the heebie-jeebies at first. I know. But please, hear me out. You came to us, and so far we don't have any other options. Perhaps if you knew little more about us, it would change your mind. Now then, please follow me. There's much to discuss first. We'll speak more on the matter once we reach the bridge. Dr. DaCosta, you may return to your quarters if you wish.
Thank you, Captain.
I will follow you to the bridge, ma'am. For security purposes.
I do not believe we have need to fear our guest, but I'll allow it if you insist. Welcome to the Earth colony ship Constant. In the early 2100s, my ancestor, Rupert Brackenridge, researched a number of scientific scenarios: climate change, asteroid impact, nuclear war, global pandemic, and more. Each scenario showed the likelihood of an extinction-level event to be within 50 years. He fully believed Earth was destined to be rendered uninhabitable. We've always assumed that's what happened. So, he gathered the best and brightest he could find, built the Constant, and set a course for this planet here. We were told that it was the largest, most advanced ship ever constructed on Earth at the time. If you can believe, entire generations have been born, lived, and died on this ship. It really goes to show that there are no limits to human ingenuity and perseverance.
The Constant is a peaceful ship. Don't change that.
So, here we are. Let's talk. No matter the outcome, I won't let my crew down. I think I'm coming up on 6 years now? I was only a teenager when my father died, passing command of the ship to me, as is tradition. Because of that, I've had to sort of learn as I go along, instead of taking years of study and apprenticeship under the prior captain. I think some people on the ship resent me for not having the level of experience as my predecessors. But at the same time, without my command, we likely wouldn't have made it here so quickly. A bit frazzled, as you can imagine. People are anxious about discovering that we're not alone, and also worried about what will come to pass. While we hope we can work out a deal with the people on the surface, they seem reluctant to reach out, so there's no telling what will come of that. I do know that we can't afford to stay here in orbit forever. The ship was built to sustain us for many years with backup provisions just in case, but even that will come to an end eventually. Difficult is the wrong word. It can be both challenging at times and also exciting. Our mission was to rebuild humanity on a distant world, believing that we were Earth's last hope. To think that while there has always been a Brackenridge in the captain's chair, that I am the one to finally oversee our journey's end is truly exhilarating. But with this stumbling block in our path, at this final moment, I fear tough choices will need to be made. Well, as I mentioned, we've been unsuccessful in communications with anyone up until you arrived, though not for lack of trying. But since you're asking, maybe you'd be willing to be a sort of diplomat between us and them as we attempt to resolve our situation. Does that sound agreeable to you? We suspect that our equipment is woefully obsolete compared to whatever you all have now. In all honesty, we never expected to need to communicate with anyone, so our comms aren't particularly robust. That limits our options. We even attempted communicating with lights and sounds, something we saw in an old movie, but I don't believe they picked up on it. If anything, it may have inadvertently alarmed them. Ah, so they have a name. Paradiso. And it sounds promising that they sent you here to speak with us. You see, we intended to settle here, but we assumed that they intend to defend their claim given their presence here. We'd like you to go speak to them on our behalf and help us negotiate a solution, preferably one that favors us. Based on the data our ancestors had when they launched this endeavor, it was determined that this was the perfect planet for us. Even if we had another viable candidate planet, we lack the resources to get there. And as you know, it took us 200 years to get here. Our people have no desire to go back to drifting the stars so their children's children can possibly settle on an inferior planet. When we left Earth, there were no claims to planets this far out into space. We had assumed that we were the only ones attempting a generational journey such as this, meaning that there would be no need for a formal claims process. Regardless, my ancestor, Rupert Brackenridge, did manage to file a charter for this planet's first colony to be named New Jamestown. According to his records, no one took it seriously when he filed it, so likely it was either ignored or the records were lost to the ages. Given humanity's lack of interest in colonizing the far reaches of space at the time, it shouldn't have been a problem, but again, here we are now. Yes, of course. But we need to start from a firm position and state our goal. If need be, we can compromise, work out a mutually beneficial deal or some such, but initially I'd like you to be firm with them and convince them to leave the planet to us. Let me know how they respond, and we'll go from there. We thought about it, but it simply won't do. I need to think about the distant future of our people. Sure, our first settlement may be small, but our predecessors dreamt of our new civilization spreading across the globe. That will be difficult if someone else plans to do the same. While we're not completely close to the idea of sharing, it's much easier if we have complete domain over this world. I'm serious. We have a rightful claim to this land, and I intend to fight for it. But as you're currently our only hope, perhaps you'll honor my request and give it your all, for the sake of some very weary travelers who have come a very long way to be here. Thank you.
I know Captain Brackenridge has essentially given you free rein to wander the ship. I hope you understand. It pays to take security seriously. Something I understand much better now.
Careful waving that fancy gun around. We don't need to see. Now that we know what's out there, things are gonna be more interesting from here on out.
Maybe another time.
Wow. I've heard about you. But here you are.
We got strict rules around here, but they're strict for a reason.
I have to say, with technology this outdated, I'm amazed this vessel is able to navigate at all. It's almost like walking through museums.
Just because our equipment's old, doesn't mean it won't work to take down troublemakers.
Never seen a ship like yours before. Well, then again, I haven't seen any ships before you arrived.
Just stay out of trouble. Just stay out of trouble.
It's fun. Now what?
Glad to see you're back in one piece.
We've detached. Let's get out of here.
Hello, and welcome back, Mr. Tofik. I am aware that this is your 8th visit to our resort. Your repeat patronage is much appreciated. Is there any assistance I may offer you today?
Actually,
I think I got this.
Be careful if you run into those ecliptic jerks.
Yet another nice day in Paradise.
Oh, this looks like a lovely place for a stay. Might also be the perfect time to stop for some food or tranquility.
It's my pleasure to make sure our guests are happy.
excuse me, you can't just waltz in there. Do you have an appointment? Oh, you're the one they're waiting for then. Do you need anything else from me before you meet with the board? People were a little freaked out around here, understandably. It looks so different and it's so massive. We honestly thought we were under attack by an unknown entity. But then, nothing happened. It just stayed there. No one could communicate with it. And we've been very careful not to alert the resort guests. The board believed it would be bad for business. What I could tell you would get me in a lot of trouble. Most of them are typical C-level execs. I doubt you even need to use your imagination for that. The ones that show up to work day to day, at least. I swear, I've never even met some of them, because they chill at their own private, secluded beach homes all the time. Anyway, be smart around Oliver. He's got a way of getting what he wants without you realizing it. And that's all I'll say. I can't speak for anyone else, but I've got a pretty high-pressure job working as the executive assistant to the Paradiso board. You can imagine, dealing with a team of execs, trying to manage all of their schedules and their other whims. But it pays well, and they give me a nice executive suite at the hotel to live in. So, it's not all bad. Free access to all the resort's amenities after work helps too. Sure. Have fun in the shark tank. And don't worry, even they call it that.
I just feel that we should be focusing on the natural beauty of this planet, not our amenities.
There are millions of planets out there. People can go to any one of them. The resort facilities are precisely what we bring to the table. Heck, it's the only thing we've really got to offer.
I don't want to risk us coming off as just another artificial, shady, trash-filled dump like Neon. That's not who we are. We've got something special here. We should embrace that.
Belom's right.
Thank you.
We don't want to compete with Neon. Bayou's ruthless. He'll do anything he can to eliminate the competition. We don't need that kind of trouble. That being said, I think there's a middle ground. Maybe build up the beachfront in a boardwalk amusement park. I've had this idea to build artificial hot springs, that sort of thing.
Sounds good. I'll look into what that will cost us, and we can circle back around to this.
You're lucky I'm not like the other board members, lazing about the beaches without a care in the universe. Not quite. We just don't answer to the Freestar Collective or the United Colonies. Makes things easier. We don't pay any taxes, we don't need to follow their laws. All the benefits, none of the drawbacks. And no one minds, because half the politicians and other big shots love vacationing here. Works for everyone. We, the Paradiso Group, bought the rights to this planet years ago with the intent of turning it into the biggest and best resort in the universe. To that end, I'd say we've succeeded. As such, no other leisure enterprises may operate on the planet without renting land from us. But as you can see, none can afford such a deal. No, of course not. There's several more. We're just the ones who show up day to day. The others spend their time lazing on the beach or gallivanting off-world. Doesn't bother me, though. Less cooks in the kitchen means I get to make all the big decisions around here. Seems to be working out for us just fine. I am. And you must be the diplomat Giro told me about. Welcome, welcome. Normally I'd offer you an all-inclusive stay at our resort before we spoke. But given the circumstances, I'm going to cut to the chase. We've got our friends, the aliens, up there, causing all sorts of problems for our resort. You like that? The marketing team came up with it. The thought is, if we can't get rid of them, it might actually attract more tourism. Come see the aliens! We run a premier resort getaway here. We can't have our guests concocting stories about some budgy old ship hanging around up there. As it is, we've had to reroute our luxury liners around the other side of the planet on entry so no one sees it. It's bad for business. We need to nip this in the bud and take care of it before the tourists catch on and cause a scene. Despicable? Hardly. Just a backup plan in case we can't get them to leave. But you're right, no one's gonna buy aliens. Remind me to fire the marketing team. So tell me, what's the actual deal with this massive eyesore of a ship, besides scaring people away? I'd say you're full of it and might have been watching too many movies. Now, instead of wasting my time, want to tell me what it really is? Well, that's something. Shame we can't just tell them kindly to bugger off. Something tells me that's not going to work. Now, tell me, what are we going to do about it? Give me some proposals, people. I need something to work with here.
We could offer to resettle them here. There's more than enough space.
They could stay here, temporarily, but it'll cost them. Quite a bit, too. They'd need to work off all their debts before being allowed to leave.
Maybe not. What if we help them get out of here? Outfit their ship with a grav drive so they can find a new home. We could even lend our engineers to help and give their captain an updated star map. What do you think?
Sounds costly. We can't absorb that cost, and it's unlikely they even have compatible currency, let alone enough for the transaction. Someone else would have to foot the bill.
Oh, I swear this would be a lot easier if they ceased to exist entirely. Anyway, Seema's got the right idea. Either works for me. Just tell me what you want to do. We own this planet, they don't. Here at Paradiso, we don't like leaving things to chance. Who knows what these people will do with their land? Imagine the landscaping disasters they may come up with, and how that might mar the satellite imagery of the planet in our brochures. No, much better to assimilate them into our culture if they come here to live, rather than leave it to chance. Are we talking or not? Well, absurd or not, that's our official stance. I make the decisions that are best for our entire group. You don't. I'm not suggesting anything. Other than it would make our lives so much easier if that ship ceased existing. Make of that what you will. It's not our responsibility to bear the brunt of that cost. We're being more than generous by offering the use of our engineering team to help install it. A custom grav drive can't come cheap, and I assume they have neither the monetary means nor the connections to get a hold of that kind of technology. That leaves the only other party in this negotiation. You. No worries, mate, but my time is valuable. Him? Him? We operate outside of the Free Stars only, you see, partially because we don't want anyone else meddling in our affairs. And we'd rather not draw attention to it. As I've mentioned, it could be bad for business. We'd much rather settle this independently. Oh, I need to say that specifically. This would be a mutual contract for room and board in exchange for services rendered. Of course, there's no telling how long this arrangement will last, given the substantial costs we'd need to take on in order to accommodate them here, including their continued room and board. But this may save the resort on operating costs in the long term, as we'd be able to let go of some of our current paid staff. And which proposal will you be taking to the good captain? I assume there's a captain? They'd be hard-pressed to defend their claim in any courts. Our charter goes back years. It was registered with both the UC and Freestar Collective, per the Centaurus Proclamation. We may be outside the settled systems, but that charter's official as can be. I'm sorry, but you're going to need to be the one to break the news to them that they need to make a compromise or leave. I have no idea, because I'm not suggesting anything of the sort. But it's a wonder that old ship made it all the way here in such a relatively short time. Must have really been pushing themselves. An engineer friend of mine told me once that the reactors on those old ships have a tendency to self-destruct if they overload. Of course, their engineers must have taken great care not to push it too far. Someone would likely have to override the safety systems in the reactor computer. But who would do such a thing?
Don't even think for one moment that this would be acceptable behavior. You can't just blow up their ship. That's insane.
Guess we're tabling it for now. Let's circle back around ASAP, though.
You've got something for me? Okay.
What's not
Hello?
to love about
I
this
didn't realise
planet?
TV was letting people in. And you've made your decision. Ah, good on you. You want to see a man named Benny St. James over at Hope Tech. He's the best in the business. If anyone can retrofit a 200-year-old ship with a modern grav drive, it'd be him. We'll coordinate our engineering team with his when you return, though you may have to help the Constance engineers prepare for it on their end. Good luck.
I know this was a difficult decision, but if it's any consolation, I think you've made the right choice. Compared to the destruction of their vessel and relegating them to a life of servitude, I'd say this is the best chance they've got.
Right. On behalf of the Paradiso Group, we appreciate your help.
One of these days, I'd love to experience this resort the way our guests do.
That was a pleasant change of scenery.
Orbital insertion completed. Green lights on outer hatch. We're docked.
Careful waving that fancy gun around. You don't need to see it.
I wonder what else is out there.
We've got strict rules around here. Strict. Now that we know what's out there, things are going to be more interesting.
Welcome to Freestar Space. We're going to do a quick scan for contraband and you can be on your way. And that's it. You're cleared to land at Hopetown.
good to go for landing.
I don't want to hear any complaints. Keep an eye on your valuables.
Excuse me, a little desperate here.
I remember meeting Ron Hope once.
Deep breath.
Idealistic and perhaps a bit of a dreamer.
Oh, God.
But you have to admire what he's accomplished.
I'm just great. Grand, really. When I signed on to be a freight captain, I was expecting long, and now I'm a hair away from being executed. Or worse. Where to start? So, I fly a rust bucket called the Markab for a small shipping line. It just started, really. We do bulk shipping, boring stuff like actuators and seed stock. Have you ever had a standard, boring job just blow up in your face? You get it then. So I just got assigned to the Markab. The first shipment, slag steel. As soon as I left Neon and got scanned, things got crazy. Spacers, everyone demanding I power down, hand over the contraband, or sometimes just firing first. I skipped the system, ditched the cargo, and have been running ever since. It gets even worse. A tracker just landed and I just know he's hunting a bounty, me. But the trick is, everyone knows the ship, but my info isn't in the database yet. All they got is my last name, Fahim. So if you go into the pit stop and claim you're Captain Fahim of the Markab, maybe you can deal with the tracker? I don't know. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but he may not get... The company is, well, a real train wreck. I'm amazed they even have my last name on file. For once, working for such a dump is a good thing. Listen, I just haul, well, garbage. But you, I mean, you're armed and look, well, awesome. I figure you could do a solid for the little guy, girl. Plus credits. I did mention the credits, right? You are the best! He's the one with the cowboy hat. Just stay safe. Thank you.
Pardon. Yes?
We'd be dust, except for the factory.
Ron Hope certainly embodies the saying, spared no expense.
Off-worlders. Nothing good ever comes from them.
Hello.
Oh, hello. I'm not used to people wanting to talk to me. Yes, I have important work. work. The O2 needs enough capacity for the whole ship. Hope Tech needs brave new innovations. We're so much more than space freight. Well, all of them. I've been with Mr. Hope since near the beginning. I think he appreciates my attention to detail and my focus on the fundamentals. Although he has been hinting that the R... Oh, it's marvelous. Generally, they only care about efficiency, cost-effectiveness, and reliability. Oh, sure, there are the odd complaints about comfort and lack of decent airflow, but they almost always side with the numbers. Sure, that sounds like me. What can I do for you? I'm a little busy, but I think I could spare some time. Oh, you should have just said that. Of course I can help you. Oliver sent a courier ahead of you. I did some research on ships from that era, and I have a decent idea what we're dealing with. So grav drives didn't really take off until after the ship was built. But I've got access to an ancient grav drive that looks like it could be compatible. With some minor adjustments. It's in good shape, too. Parts not cheap, though. Neither is the labor. Just pay the combined cost of parts and labor, and it's yours. It's a pretty big ask, given how rare these old grav drives are. True. I keep telling myself I'm holding on to it for the right time. Perhaps this is that right time. This isn't getting us anywhere. There's nothing to talk about. I've already made myself clear. You know, I have to make a... Wait! We still have business to discuss. Save valuable weight if we... Well, all of them. I think he appreciates... Although he... Oh, generally? Oh, sure. But they almost... Sure. Oh. Oliver sent it. So grab it. Parts not cheap. It's a pretty big... True. I keep telling myself I'm holding on to it for the right time. Perhaps this is that right time. Maybe it is selfish of me to demand such a price. Tell you what, sounds like this is for a good cause. While I can't give you the part for free, I won't charge you for the work. You're darn right it is. I'll get to work on it right away. I recommend you go back to the ship and ask the captain to prepare for its retrofit. Standard stuff. I'm sure they have an engineer on board to help. We'll send the part along when it's ready and install it with the help of Oliver's people. Pleasure working with you.
Recycled air. Just isn't the same as the real thing.
We were never trained to address threats.
People always appreciate a good engineer, whether they know it or not. I was hoping to talk to our visitor from outer space, and I have a million burning questions, but I won't overwhelm you. There will be plenty of time for that later. How did you do it? Did humanity finally discover faster than light travel and eclipse our poor old ship? I knew it. It's incredible! I read about this technology in our archives from Earth, but... Oh, I've got so many questions, but I'm being rude. I haven't even given you my name. Chief Engineer Kazemi. But you... And, I might add, I'm one of the reasons we're still... Yes, of course. Ah, great question. All of the reading I've done on the matter suggests that at the time, there was uncertainty that the technology would ever work, or if it did, that it would work. So, I trust they made the decision. Some may say I'm a master of keeping things together with nothing but duct tape and bubblegum. Well, if we had, pretty sure that ran out 100 years ago. When I'm not dealing with catastrophic engine failures, I manage the other engineers. We maintain all the machinery, computers, you name it. We keep the life support on, and the ship flying. Many years ago, when I was a junior engineer, the reactor's computer burned out. The computer that controls the... I'll spare you the details, but when that happens, the ship and everyone on it is in danger of... I had to jury-rig parts from old media devices to prevent a meltdown. And that's how I became the boss around here. Yes! So many! Do people only live on naturally habitable planets, or did they learn to terraform? Are we in contact with alien species? I have so many more... Disappointing, but not unexpected. When you showed up, I suggested that the most likely explanation for you was that humanity had developed faster, more advanced technology and had leapfrogged. I'm not surprised. The amount of energy it would take to terraform an entire planet. I can assume these types of colonies are strictly for mining and gathering rare resources, since there are near... Haha! I knew it! Incredible! Amazing! Simply amazing! Even this ship was only possible by our families pulling together nearly all... Ah, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I can have a bit of... What grab drive? Just joking with you. The Paradiso engineers filled me in. Okay, let's see what we need to do. All right. This will be fun. And hopefully there will be no explosions in the process. I have just received word that the drive is here. Ready to get to work? Oh! We've kept this ship going with minimal but, to be clear, what we're doing... Great! There are 3 preparations I need you to help me make while I set things up on my end. First thing I need you to do is reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Then, turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Last, you'll need to decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Got it? Let's hop to it!
wonder what it's like out there in your bad little community.
Capacitor NCC 1701 is active.
Something. There are three things we need. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Careful not to touch anything on your way out. Other colonists... something wrong? There are three things we need to do. Reroute the power from the port... Turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Something wrong? There are three things we... Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Turn the plasma runoff inhibitor. Decouple the magnetic... something. There are three things. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary Good luck out there. Tell you, something wrong? There are three things we need to do. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Decouple the magnetic flange... See you! Keeping a 200-year-old? So long! People always appreciate... careful not to touch anything on your way out.
These are exciting. Times aren't they?
I've lived my entire life in the constant.
Keeping a 200-year-old? Something. There's still something left to do. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Good luck out. If the other colonists see you. can't tell you how. Something wrong? There's still something left to do. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. So long! People always appreciate the good. Something wrong? There's still something left. Reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. See you! If the other color... something wrong? There's still something left. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Good luck out there! Can't tell you. Something wrong? There's still something left. Decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Careful not to touch anything on your way. Looks like everything is good to go on both your end and mine. Can you go inform the captain?